Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 73 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 73 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you're new here, hey, welcome. I'm so glad that you could join us this week. I hope you stay a while. If you've been here before, you guys know I probably sound like a broken record, but I love you. I really do. I love you guys. Your support means everything to me. When you reach out to me and give feedback about the episode or just share with me things going on in your life, you have no idea the confidence that builds in me, because it shows that we're building trust, and that's really what this is about. I really just value the interactions, because that's what, like I said, kind of gives me the confidence to keep going, and it shows me that I'm talking about the right things. So thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you that are new here, I always like to kind of start everything out very intentionally. Like I mentioned, we're building a house. So when you're building a house, you have to make sure your house is built on good foundation. And for me, when you're building things on good foundation, that means that you need to have clarity about what's going on, and you need to make sure that it is wrapped in love. So for the clarity part, because I want to make sure you know why you're here, the Well Done Life podcast is about creating a safe space for women. I created this space because I feel like as women, we don't have enough spaces where we can be ourselves, where we can share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully learn from each other, and hopefully heal ourselves in the process and create change. I think women are really the foundation of society, and we need those spaces where we can just be vulnerable, because we are pulled in so many directions. And it is so hard for us to feed into ourselves, when we're feeding into everybody else, because as the givers of life, we have to do those things, and it can get a little overwhelming. So I'm hopeful that by me sharing some of my journey, because I've been in this game for a little bit, I'm not that old, but I'm seasoned, and by sharing some of my ups and downs, hopefully that you will learn from some of the mistakes that I have made, and that I can encourage you to share your story, because I think when we all share, then someone else is helped. And then you give someone else that courage and confidence to be able to do the exact same thing. And that's how we really bring about change. It really all counts through us. So welcome to the safe space. So now you have the clarity. Love is definitely key in this journey. It's key to everything, because, like I said, this is about creating a safe space. You can't create a safe space without love, because there's no trust. So I want to make sure that you know that, like I said, I love you guys in the beginning who have rocked with me all the time. But even if you are new here, I'm always going to extend everyone who listens to this prayers, because I feel like we need to pray more for each other, because the world is crazy, and we need to be able to be more supportive and encouraging of each other, so that we can lift each other up as we are all on this journey for this beautiful thing called life. So this week, I want to make sure that I am sending each of you prayers of love and of compassion and happiness and peace of mind, because I think that it's just so important that you have that as you are navigating this world. So I definitely hope that it will be able to make you feel like you have gotten a moment of love. So that will let you know that you are in the right place. And I hope you all are having amazing weeks and summers. I mean, look, I've been like a broken record since everything with the panini kind of happened. So really all I say at this point is just be safe and be vigilant. Delta is moving fast, and I'm not talking about the airlines. So make sure you're prioritizing your health. That's really all I can say. It's just very important to prioritize your health, because this is a crazy situation, and I don't really want to get into debates about who should vaccinate, who should not vaccinate. That's not really my decision. I've made my choice a while ago, and I've shared that before, and I have no regrets about it. But I still, even with, and I'm vaccinated, full disclosure, and everyone in my family is vaccinated, my immediate family, and I think some of my extended family as well. But we did that because of we need to, I personally, for myself, I need to stay healthy. I'm the head of my household, so I really can't afford to be down. And also my mom, of course, she's 74. And my mother was very succinct in telling me that if you give me COVID and I die, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your life. So, I'm trying to avoid that because my mom's sweet, but she's petty. And I just want to really, avoid that kind of situation. So we made decisions that we felt were best for us. But even with making those decisions, we still are vigilant and we're still trying to live. So I'm not discouraging anyone from living their best life. I'm just saying be cautious with it because unfortunately, with everything that I've seen, I just feel like you can't afford to take it for granted. You can't afford to take this life for granted. So just be cautious. That's all I can say, and be careful. So sending y'all definitely on top of all those other prayers, sending you prayers of good health because I think that health is wealth. So, I hope y'all have, like I said, having amazing weeks and summers. I hope this week has been a good week for you guys. I'm recording on Friday night at 11:14 p.m. This is not when I intended to record. And I'll be honest, I didn't intend to record today. I have had a day, to say the least. I'm adulted out. But it wasn't a bad day. It was just a lot of adulting that happened. And then this evening, I thought I lost my wallet, y'all. And I was just devastated and I couldn't figure it out. Long story short, though, I didn't. But let me just say that was after I wound up having to get in my car, go back to the restaurant where I picked up some takeout. Even though I didn't even take my wallet out, I was just so panic stricken. I had to go back and look around the parking lot, go inside the restaurant. Yes, it's been that kind of night. For it to all be sitting right at my dining room table, which is frightening. That to me is a sign that I'm doing way too much and that I need to kind of take a beat back. And I was just thinking about that earlier when I was working, because I do have a corporate position during the day. I was like, wow, I really can tell I need to take a vacation. So I was planning on not potting tonight, but I really felt like it's important to stay consistent in these times because talking to you guys definitely helps me. And I feel like, I'm not the only one who's gone through some craziness like that. And I'll definitely have to say before I go even further into this week's episode, I'm grateful that my wallet was right on my table. That could have been a whole different situation. I just had to give God the glory for that. And it was so cute. My mom was like, oh, we prayed in agreement that, had to thank God that I found that wallet. So it's just a little thing sometimes that you have to remember and be grateful for. So showing gratitude, that's why I wanted to make sure that I followed through and potted tonight because I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you guys because like I said, you motivate me and encourage me. So I hope that when I come across different things and share them with you, you are motivated and encouraged as well. But anywho, so like I said, it's been a week. But I wanted to talk this week because I kind of feel like it goes along with last week's episode of Spaces. And if you haven't had a chance to check out episode 72, I'm going to link it in the show notes. But episode 72 is for kind of I hoped, a stepping stone for us as women to start to make sure that we are in situations where we are valued and not just tolerated. Because unfortunately, I feel like as women, we spend way too much time in situations where we are tolerated and not valued. And we're not willing to do the steps necessary to move ourselves forward because we're carrying our own, obviously, baggage and concerns that would prevent us from being able to really give a clear, articulate path to what we want. So that's really what episode 72 talks about. And let me preface it by saying, moving yourself from a situation where you are tolerated into one where you are valued takes work. It takes work and it takes courage because a lot of times, like I said, as women, we have a harder time articulating what we want because we are a lot of times very concerned about how other people perceive us. And to get to a point where you realize that other people's perceptions are not your issue, is very challenging, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes continuous work. I talked with someone this evening about it, and I said that like I'm still on the journey, because there are many times where I feel sometimes where I am just tolerated and not valued. And I'm trying to set more boundaries so that I can make sure that I am valued the way that I expect to be, but it is not easy. So don't beat yourself up. And like I said, that's just kind of a beginning. But spaces, if you are struggling with that, and that doesn't just cover your work. In that episode, I covered work, I covered personal, because again, you will find yourselves, like I said, in situations where you are tolerated and not valued that are outside of corporate America. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, in terrible relationships where they are just tolerated and not valued because they are not willing to be honest about how they are being treated and how they feel about the person who is treating them the way such a disrespectful manner. So, like I said, it's just kind of something to think about. If you were in those experiences, I would definitely check it out. But I want to keep kind of going along in that vein because it was funny. I happened to be, or actually not happen to be, I love YouTube. I do. I watch a ton of the YouTube videos, and I know you're probably like, how did we just go from talking about tolerated to valued to YouTube? You'll see, bear with me, I promise. Just painting the picture. But I do. I love watching YouTube videos. And one of the influencers that I watch is a younger influencer. She's a millennial, definitely. Her name is Tarja Fergus, and she's an influencer based in Atlanta. She's a dental hygienist. She owns her own business, and she lives this life of fabulosity. And I also love that she has such a beautiful relationship with her mom. It is just so fun watching her. And I just happened to discover her a couple of months back during the panorama early on, and I've just been like kind of like following continuously. And so I was watching an episode that she launched last Sunday, and it went, and I'll link it, her channel below, but she was on her way out to run errands because, again, like I said, she's living this life of fabulosity. And she mentioned how she was working on romanticizing her life. And I have to admit, when she said that, I was instantly intrigued because I had never heard anyone actually put it that way. Like, you're trying to romanticize your life. And exactly what does that mean? And she was kind of explaining that what it meant for her was that she was just focusing on living her best life where she's at the moment. So being the woman that I am, because y'all know I love to do some quick research. If you're new here, yes, boo-boo, Google is my friend, and Merriam-Webster is my favorite dictionary site. So, of course, I had to kind of dig into this because I said, I think there's something to this that aligns really perfectly with, I have to admit, where I am in with my life. And I think where, as women, we need to start to kind of align more with ourselves. So I kind of, like I said, want to build the foundation. So, of course, I had to start out with my favorite Merriam-Webster dictionary website. I had to go right to the definition of romanticize because I think I want to make sure I'm clear, as I'm applying this. So the definition of romanticize is to make romantic or treat as idealized or heroic. Example that they gave is romanticize the past. Another definition that they gave is to hold romantic ideas, to present details, incidents, or people in a romantic way. Now that made me go back after seeing that and take a look at the definition of romantic because, that normally is a pretty subjective definition depending on the situation, if you ask me. So I wanted to kind of get down to the true definition of being a romantic. So here's what I found. Romantic is consisting of or resembling a romance. Having no basis in fact is the second definition, which I found hilarious. Impractical or in conception or plan is the third definition. And the the word that they gave to kind of describe that one was visionary. And then it's funny, for the one that said having no basis in fact, it was imaginary. How many of us have had some imaginary romantic relationships? I mean, hey, you think it's one way and it's definitely not, but that's a whole nother podcast. And then there's another definition, marked by the imaginative or emotional appeal of what is heroic, adventurous, remote, mysterious, or idealized. And then they also have another one, of relating to or having the characteristics of romanticism, or relating to music of the 19th century, characterized by an emphasis on subjective emotional qualities and freedom of form. Also of relating to a composer of music. And then having the other definition, like there's a lot of definitions for this one, having an inclination for romance, responsive to the appeal of what is idealized, heroic, or adventurous. The next one, marked by expressions of love or affection. I think we're kind of getting somewhere. Conducive to or suitable for lovemaking, of relating to or consisting or constituting the part of the hero, especially in a light comedy. So romance, like I mentioned, it can cover a lot of ground. Can cover a lot of ground. But in this case, the parts that kind of stuck out with me when I was reading through some of that was to present details or incidents or people in a romantic way, or with the term romantic to be marked by expressions of love and affection. And that made me think, like, how often are we expressing our love and affection for our life? And I mean, I'm not talking your literal life, because I think we all hopefully are very grateful and give praise and reverence daily for being alive, having the opportunity to just experience. But what I'm talking about is, just our daily routine. And how many of us are really showing love and affection for that daily routine or life? Because it definitely times for me, I know it's a struggle. I mean, I sometimes know that I get frustrated with the monotony of certain tasks. I mean, household jobs, teams meetings, Zoom meetings, or just being overwhelmed by the constant flow of demands on your time. Because, like I said, we are the foundations of many of our households. I'm the head of household here. So, I have a lot of responsibility. I know there are many women as well. You are in those situations. And those situations with head of household a lot of times even apply when you are married or in a relationship with someone. Because I have a saying, if mama's not happy, nobody in the house is happy. And that is facts. And for any man that would happen to listen to this episode, I hope you took that in, because it's the truth. As a woman, if we are not happy in that home, because we carry so much breath and weight and responsibility in a household, the household will not be happy. So it's very easy to get caught up in focusing on doing the things that we need to do to make sure that everybody else is happy, that we stop being happy ourselves, and we get caught into this cycle of just doing to do versus doing to thrive. So that's why I said it can be hard, to prioritize yourself. So romanticizing your life is probably, I think, the last thing on most of our minds, which is, I think, why it stuck with me when I heard it, because even without knowing what it was, like I said, I was intrigued, and I had to go after I looked at Merriam-Webster to even find out those roots of romantic and romanticize. I went back to Google, because the Googles always know everything. And when I Googled romanticize your life, I was stunned by the amount of actually recent content around it. I see this is a trend that has definitely been going on. And I found a great article actually on Medium by Sasha Meyer, which I'm going to link in the show notes, detailing her experience being in lockdown in Germany, and how, she got very used to being alone, and she was always very comfortable in being alone. But during the lockdown, I think she said it kind of forced her to really look at life and the things that she was missing in her daily routine, and learn how to really refocus her perception. Because, and let me preface this, she actually, the subtitle of this article, Romanticize Your Life, is a lesson learned from TikTok and Gen Z. So yes, this is definitely, maybe the younger set might be a little bit more ahead. I'm a Generation X. So I guess, which I love because I'm a big TikTok fan. I don't do a lot of videos. No, I'm not going to be dancing on the talk, but I do like watching it. And it is a great resource of information. And if I had if anyone were to ask me, I would probably say TikTok is like the new Google, because you can go to TikTok and find all types of videos in regards to everything. And they're really cool and catchy. Some of them a little different and crazy, but very entertaining all the same. But anyhow, I digress. So like I said, that Gen Z and TikTok is where she actually picked it up because she was lonely. I mean, she said during, a little bit during the lockdown, she missed those interactions with our friends, which I think we could all relate to. And that she was just like, you're home all the time. And she was like a travel addict, which totally related to myself. And she was like, she liked to recharge her batteries, and except now she was like, I have all this energy, which I think we all did when we were locked down, and she missed social interactions and an active outside lifestyle. So she said that she kind of had to refocus herself and really look at, what the little things meant to her, and how sometimes in situations like this, it's very easy to, not get the point of those little things. You get very focused on what you don't have versus focusing on what you do. So long story short, or short story long, she wrote this great article where she started talking about how, she got sucked into TikTok, and just like everybody else, probably looking for inspiration. And when she was looking at the different recipes and doing stuff, it gave her the energy to move forward and start doing little things like traveling again in small ways when she could, or spending more quality time with her families, exploring her own backyard, or even going to places that she had never thought of. Like, she gave herself permission to look at her life with a new lens. And one of the things that she said, which is highlighted in the article, is that you have to start romanticizing your life. You have to start thinking of yourself as the main character. Because if you don't, life will continue to pass you by. And all the little things that make it so beautiful will continue to go unnoticed. So take a second and look around. And I was like, wow, that is very true. And I kind of talked about that in earlier episodes, especially when we first went into lockdown or restricted access. Because, here in the United States, we're not as locked down as obviously what they were overseas. Overseas was a whole different situation. A lot of times, and even in certain countries, you weren't going anywhere, like not even to the grocery store. So in Germany, she was very limited in what she was able to do. So here, it's like, we were limited, but some folks were still sneaking out and doing stuff. And for those of us that weren't, it become very lonely, and you had to refocus. I have to admit, for myself, I found more of a love of cooking. When I first started the pandemic, or the panorama, I was really into cocktails. So I would make cocktails and share content about that for a little bit. I was trying to find new ways of drinking stuff, which was fun and a little too many calories, but that's another story. And then I started getting into cooking. I have to admit, I found plant-based eating during that time, or veganism. And it's just like I started to slow down, and it gave me an opportunity to start to value more time with my family. I learned how to take pleasure in the fact that eating dinner with my family every night needs to be undistracted so that we can connect with each other again. Or sitting up on Sundays, like my sister and I, that's our bonding time where we are connected to each other through movies and television shows and books and laughter and breakfast. We do it big. Because, again, that's our time. So we found those little things. And it was just so cute because, again, like she said in the article, she found through TikTok that how little things can just create so many wonderful moments. And especially when you're going through dark times, how important it is to, look at life and remember those small things. So that's where she said that you could romanticize your life. And like I said, I'm going to link it in the show notes because I think it's a great article. It's a very whimsical, fun read, and hopefully you'll be inspired by it. But like I said, I was inspired, and it made me look back and think, how have I romanticize my life, and what are things that you can do to start maybe shifting your mindset to maybe romanticize some of the small things in your life. Because like I said, I know as women we're overwhelmed, we have 811 jobs and things to do and support, but we have to start taking small steps for ourselves, because again, we want to be valued, not tolerated, but you have to value yourself first before anyone else will value you as well. So some of the things that I have to admit that I have started doing, one thing I started doing was I redid my bathroom. I have to admit, I did get inspired through TikTok and YouTube. And I said, I kind of wanted to redo my bathroom. And remodel might be a little bit of an aggressive word because I didn't do any painting or anything like that. So let's just pump that back. I just totally did a whole massive spring cleaning, summer cleaning. I went in and I got plants, some of them fake, some of them real, and redid all the decor from the rugs to the towels to the holders. I organized everything. I purged a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't need or use anymore. And I just cleaned it out, everything. So it's just pristine. And my bathroom is my favorite room in my house because it's my space where I can spread out and it just gives me great vibes. So I redid my bathroom and I did start buying small plants. And I am definitely not a plant person. I bought a couple of succulents because I like plants in the bathroom. I'd read that that's a really great aesthetic, to create a peaceful vibe. So I did that. They didn't make it. I'm just going to say that. They didn't make it. They're gone. And so I haven't given up though. I started buying myself flowers. So right now in my bathroom, I have 24 yellow roses. And I did white roses 2 weeks ago. And every 2 weeks, I buy myself fresh flowers. And I'm not breaking the bank either. I get them from Trader Joe's. They're $7.99 a bundle, or $8.99 a bundle. And I buy my 24 and I get the little flower food and I set them up in my beautiful white vases and they are thriving. These yellow ones, they're yellow and red that I just bought. I love them. They're a week old and they're just so beautiful and they bring me joy. So I have said to myself that buying myself flowers every 2 weeks is going to be my way of romanticizing my life a little bit and bringing myself joy, because I think that that's part of it. When you are romanticizing your life, you are looking for those little things, but those little things bring you joy. And like I've mentioned in my previous episode, Possessing the Secret of Joy, which I'll also link in, you have to find those things in your life that bring you joy. Happiness is just the minimum. It's about joy. So for under $20, I'm bringing myself joy and they're beautiful and it makes me happy. And I'm not saying that you have to put flowers in the bedroom, but I'm saying that you should prioritize buying yourself or making yourself or doing something for yourself every week or two that brings you joy. So like I said, for me, that's flowers. That's just one thing though. And you can maybe make it something else. If getting a manicure does that for you, then prioritize that. If getting a pedicure does that for you, then prioritize that. If getting a massage does that for you, then prioritize that. But prioritize something that brings you joy often, not just once every couple of months, once a month, because little things can be done more often than not that will make you feel joy. So that's just one thing. The second thing that I kind of started doing is I have really gotten back into books. And so I have prioritized this, like reading a couple of books. And I have to admit, I am reading a few right now, and I just got a new one I haven't started. It is called 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, and it was recommended by Demetria Lucas, who is the Belle in Brooklyn, and I love her podcast, Ratchet and Respectable, which I'll also link in the show notes. And she was talking to Miss Williams about, and I am really excited. That's where I got my last book, You Are Your Best Thing by Tarana Burke and Brene Brown. If you haven't read that, I would also check that out. And I'm going to link that too. But yeah, so for me, buying books is a priority. And it's the little things, because I was one of those people, I'd actually stopped like physically holding books. I got an Audible subscription a few years back, and I'm really a big Audible person. And when I would go to work in the morning or take my sister to work too, we would listen to Audible on our way to work all the time. And that was just our time, because we both are really big book people. So we would bond over a great book while I'm doing my daily commute. But obviously now with the panorama, I'm home based, so we don't do that as much anymore. So I kind of fell away from Audible, and I picked back up books, because I love the feeling of sitting in my bed at night, even if it's just 20 minutes, reading a book, and just before I go to sleep, just giving myself that time, because again, it makes me happy and brings me joy. So for me, I would say the second thing is prioritize something daily that brings you joy, even if it's just 20 minutes. Prioritize that, because that joy, those little things that make you feel good, again, it's about romanticizing your life. It's all about finding that thing that just gives you that unexplicable feeling of happiness. And it's the little things, because it takes no time to pick up that book and just give myself that moment of peace. Another thing that I've done, and I'm still doing this, like I'm putting it out here because I've got to claim it so that it can become a habit. I am now officially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I'm 5 days in. So it's 25 more days until I make it a full-scale habit. I have started dancing in the morning. Yes, I dance every morning for 20 to 30 minutes before I get dressed. And when I say I dance, I mean I roll out of bed. Lately, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. or 5:30, or sometimes maybe 6, depending on how I'm feeling. And I have gotten up and I look at this video. I found another YouTuber, that darn YouTube. His name is Mike Peel, and he has these great dance videos around that are just awesome. Just like dance videos, you learn a routine and you just dance. The music is amazing, and I work up a great sweat, and then I go take a shower and I start my day, and I feel really good. And so that's become one of my things. It's a little thing, because I don't want to go back to the gym. I'm not really comfortable with all the variants and everything going in. It's not me. And plus, I really had stopped doing that even before the panorama. Like, I was like, I need to find another way to get fit. And I actually was taking Pilates before everything shut down. So I haven't gotten back into Pilates because, again, obviously this is studio, but I was like, I got to find something. I'm ready to make my body move, and I want to be happy, and it'll help me manage my stress. And I happened to be on social media and I saw Ashley Boal Darby. She is on Real Housewives of Potomac. and she was showing on her Instagram how she danced through her second pregnancy. And I mean, she was getting it. God bless that woman to be pregnant and be able to get it like that. And she was thanking this guy, and I was like, oh my God, she looks like she's having the best time. And so I said, well, let me just check it out. I checked out a video, and I've been hooked ever since. And it's great. So yes, I prioritize doing that in the morning. So that kind of leads me back to saying, prioritize, even if you have to get up a little bit early, or even if you, a little bit early. And that little early doesn't have to be 5 a.m. like me, because believe me, I'm not saying that 5 a.m. is for everybody. I just gotta, I've been getting up that early because it's helped me get a better start on my day, because I've had a lot of projects at my job. But there have been some days when I have been laying in the bed, 5 o'clock. No, I'm not ready yet. 5:30. No, I'm not ready yet. 6 o'clock. No, I'm not ready yet. 6:30. Okay. But I still got up and I still danced for those 20 minutes, because I'm like, if I can't give myself 20 minutes in the beginning of my day, what am I doing? Because I'm about to give more than 8 hours to build somebody else's dream on the corporate level. I need to at least prioritize 20 minutes. And that doesn't even take into consideration all the other things that I'm going to need to be able to do and take care of my family. So if 20 minutes for me, 20 to 30 minutes for me in the morning, I'm worth it. You're worth it. So find something that helps you find that joy in the morning, your morning routine. And morning routines, I haven't really talked about it. Maybe I will in another episode, but I have to admit my morning routine fluctuates based upon my mood and my mindset. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I have a basic structure that I can kind of talk with you about to help you, because I think that that's what, to me, kind of makes people I can't do the morning routine thing, because you get so down on yourself when you don't stick to the routine. But again, kind of going back to, you guys know, my favorite book of all times is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. You have to understand that your best is you're always going to focus on trying to do your best, but your best is going to fluctuate based upon how you feel. Sometimes it's not going to be 100%. It's going to be 30%, because that's where you're at. And you know what? That's still your best. So you have to give yourself grace. And I'm going to link that in the show notes as well. We got a lot of links this week, but I want to make sure, because if you haven't read that, just kind of brief side detour, as we are trying to learn how to romanticize our life, that book would be a great guide on the journey to being able to romanticize your life, because it's so freeing when you are able to stop making assumptions, when you're able to stop taking things personally, when you are able to be impeccable with your word over yourself and other people, as well as when you understand the power of doing your best and giving yourself grace when the best isn't 100%, when it's 40% and you're still good. That's freeing, because we're talking about, prioritizing 20 minutes in the morning or 20 minutes at night to read a book. Those are things that work for me, and everybody's journey is going to be unique. But ultimately, all of it goes back to giving yourself permission, freeing yourself from the constraints of thoughts and outsiders to understand that you are worth having your best life possible, and that you should romanticize how you view this life, because you are the main character in your story. So you need to be able to take those limits off. So that book would probably be a really great foundational point for you to be able to kind of start doing the work so that you can take the limits off. It's not a quick fix. Believe me, there are times I have to refer to the Four Agreements a lot, because I'm still dealing with me, and I am not cured of me. So I have to dig into it, but it's worth it. It's a short read. You can listen to it on Audible, or you can pick up the book and read it. There's variations, but I would definitely say that it's something that you should check out as you're on this journey. So that's another thing that you can do to romanticize your life. Find 20 minutes in the morning to do maybe a few yoga stretches if that gives you joy, or to take a walk around the block, or to sit out front out front of your house and have coffee. But just do something to start your day off. Because believe it or not, even if you're doing that small thing, you're building a routine. Only takes 30 days to build a habit. So start to build it every day and give yourself grace when it just doesn't go the way that you thought it should, because that's okay. You just get back in there and you try again. The worst part is not trying. So I think that's just, again, another thing that you can do to romanticize your life. And if you kind of think about it, we're not really talking about buying a whole bunch of extravagant things, but I think it's ultimately all about just making yourself the center of your life. And I know that's hard because, like I said, I'm the head of my household. I don't have children or a husband, but I do have my mom and my little sister, and I prioritize their happiness a lot of times above myself. But I have learned through therapy and through resentments and through arguments and frustrations that I can't prioritize them above me. Because no matter how much you try to pretend like it doesn't bother you, it will build up when you start to lose yourself. And you don't want to lose yourself. So you want to make sure that you are giving yourself the grace and the space to be able to put yourself first, because you are worth it. So make sure you kind of think about what I'm talking about. And one of the other things that I would say that may help on the journey to romanticizing your life is make sure that you are surrounding yourself with content or people or things that give you examples of what romanticizing your life looks like for you. You want to be around people who are living their best lives. And don't get me wrong, social media, YouTube, all of that stuff is never a 100% perspective of anyone's life. I mean, believe me, I try to be as honest as I can about what I go through and what I've been through in my life, but I'm not going to lay it all on the cross all the time. I'm very honest, though, if you are about stuff, but some things you have to keep sacred for yourself. And some things you have to let just stay in the rear view, because opening those doors can just unleash wounds that most people aren't ready to heal from. So you have to know that it's okay to be skeptical, but at the same time, glean in what you see other people doing, because they're thriving. And you want to thrive. You are only as good as the people that you surround yourself with and the information that you feed yourself. So if you're really serious about trying to shift your perspective, then make sure you shift your perspective and do the work. And I know I've said that before, so this isn't new. But yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to cut everybody off randomly. I always like to say that because, some people just get quick cutting off. No. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying make sure you examine the information that you consume and the people who feed into you. So start to look around and follow people, read information, listen to podcasts that help you grow as a person, because that's really what it should be about. Unfortunately, especially as we get older, we just don't really have the time to waste on things that don't serve us. And I'm not saying that you don't have fun and you don't laugh. You should. But at the same time, you have to be very intentional with your life and your mindset, because time is fleeting. And so you don't want to sit up in here and wait 5-10 years later to figure out how to live your best life. The time is now. And you can do it, and you can do the work, and you're not alone on the journey, because all of us are on it. I'm on it too. And believe me, like I said, it's an everyday process. So but we're going to do it together. and we're here. So that's kind of what romanticizing your life is. It's just being the main character in your story. And I think that was a perfect fit to, like I was saying from the previous conversation about spaces, about being valued versus tolerated, because you can't expect other people to value you if you don't value yourself. So in order for you to value yourself, you have to be willing to do the work. And the work is not easy, but it's worth it. And you are worth it. And you will do amazing things if you trust and believe in yourself. So I'm going to put some of this information in the show notes. I really hope that these resources help you. This probably will not be the last time we talk about it because, like I said, this is a continuous journey. But I also want to say one thing that I would probably recommend as you are searching people out and trying to find, definitely good thought leaders and content people. Don't be afraid to veer a little young. I think sometimes we kind of get caught up in the fact that, we're older and those people may not understand the challenges that we're going through. They may not. And I'm not saying everybody is for everyone, but don't be afraid to take advice or to learn, better yet, not necessarily take advice, to learn from someone else's example, even if they're younger than you. Because age is a number. Mentality and maturity is a whole different thing. And we all know that to be true because believe me, there are a lot of people who are on the older spectrum who act like children. And then there are a lot of people on the younger spectrum who act like better adults than some of the people that we know. So don't be afraid of that. Be open, be receptive. That's what, part of romanticizing your life is. It's just learning how to look at the life with fresh eyes. Don't be afraid to look at it for fresh eyes. Focus on what you see right now in this moment, maybe the next day, and just kind of take it all in and enjoy it, because you'll find joy in that enjoyment, and that joy will translate in everything that you do, and that will help you be able to be the star of your life, because that's exactly what you are. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And like I said, I really want to make sure that you got some content or some resources that will help you on the journey. I'm going to make sure I share everything in the show notes. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. Like, share, or subscribe. You guys know that you can email me at thewelldonelife@gmail.com. You can follow me at the Well Done Life podcast or on my personal page at Pamela L. Davis, as well as just hit me in the DMs. Just nothing crazy. Some of these DMs are just getting bananas. But I definitely will follow back up with you. I really appreciate you guys listening. I can't wait to talk with you guys next week. I do, like I said, have some guests coming up soon. So looking forward to kind of keeping the conversation going. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget, you are the star of your life. And I am pulling for you and believing great things. Just take a step. Take a step. It only takes 30 days to make a habit. Count down every day and just know that you can do it and create great change and have the most romantic, beautiful life that you can, because that's what living the well done life is all about. I will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.